What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and we're back at it, answering more questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. This is a brand new channel, so don't forget to subscribe because we used to post these in the One Mind Syndicate page, but now they are in their own very special page. And that is what Staven has done. He asks, Primaries, how do they orbital assault? And then he goes on to say, drop pods surrounded by interceptors. How do the vehicles deploy? In Godblight, they mentioned 100 foots to deploy over an overlord, often overlord. But when I searched it previously, it stated that they drop from orbit.
Yeah, so Primaris Marines, they're a little bit tougher, a little bit faster, more durable. And because of that, they're able to jump from higher heights. Like let's say they're going on a Stormbird, they could just jump and be like pretty much okay. But most of the time, they'll still deploy by regular means via drop pod or some type of assault vehicle.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed too much. And then the cool thing about the lore of Warhammer 40K is that Space Marines are really they're Marines, meaning that they are experts at naval combat, void combat, basically in space. So they became experts of that in 30K from basically fighting ship to ship kind of thing. So whenever we think of the tabletop or we think of a Space Marine in the Space Marine game, they're on a planet. So they've landed. And at that point, a Space Marine unit is more of a super specialized force. It's not a full big ass like army like you would think the Imperial Guard is or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, drop pods and they're elite. So.
Right. Each faction also is going to do it differently. So, for example, if you played the Space Marine game, the Ultramarines literally were jumping off of a ship wearing jump packs.
Yeah.
And there was like orcs with their rockets, and they're like shooting them with bolt pistols and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really up to whoever's creating the game, the book, or just the cinematic to kind of create their own way of assaulting because it varies. They're specialized units, so.
Yeah. One of the more recent things is the Custodians have a unit that will literally, from orbit, take Dawn Eagle jet bikes and descend down into the planet.
How badass is that? Like, they're probably on flames.
Oh, yeah. They're like, it's like Starfalls and stuff like that.
Yeah, so pretty cool. Next question comes from the big one. I overheard this girl in my adult education class saying that 3 inches is plenty. So should I be hopeful that my lonely days may finally come to an end, or was she lying? 3 inches is all you need.
Yeah. I mean, it's about the motion in the ocean instead of the size of the prize.
Yeah, if you want to visualize it, you don't want to visualize it like the measuring tapes that we use for 40K. What you want to think about is more of a parabola.
There you go.
So you're kind of swinging, and that should help. I think we should really get a sponsorship by Blue Chew or something because it would fit perfectly. Next question.
Veras Azio, what's the Emperor's favorite chicken sandwich?
Ooh, that's a tough one, just because chicken is very rare in 40K.
Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure they still got Popeyes. Though.
Yeah. And it's probably still super ghetto, and the service is pretty terrible.
But those chicken sandwiches...
Yeah. If anything, it would be Grok's meat now, though.
Yeah.
I like a chicken or fried chicken from an actual chicken is probably a delicacy that only the High Lords indulge in. Mm-hmm. It would be like us eating mammoth meat.
Yeah, I'd eat mammoth meat.
Heck yeah, I would too. Next question.
Clovis Longworm. How come Nurgle cultists have such terrible armor saves? Shouldn't they be tougher?
Yeah, it makes sense because Nurgle is the chaos god that gives you a boom or some type of mutation that makes you more, what is it called, impervious?
Yeah.
We're playing HeroClix now.
But at the same time, cultists are still just humans. They just have like a tentacle or a horn.
Yeah.
So like they still go down as easily as probably any other human. Like, you behead a cultist, they'll still die. You shoot a cultist in the heart, they'll still go down.
Yeah.
So, if anything, Nurgle's probably infecting them with the diseases instead of the toughness of, like, a plague marine, kind of.
if you were a Nurgle player, because normally you play Khorne, right?
Usually.
Or Undivided, would you want there to be a mechanic like the Necrons where the cultists come back?
So I think it was a couple editions ago. There was something like that where if like a cultist unit comes like dies, another one can come out from the board edge. But nothing specific for Nurgle like that. And I think Nurgle already has that covered with Poxwalkers. Poxwalkers can stand back up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Poxwalkers are essentially the same thing as cultists, just more Nurgified than cultists.
Yeah. On the tabletop are Poxwalkers. Oh no, you know what I'm thinking of? Plague Bearers. Something way different, right? That's
Yeah.
actual demon.
Plague Bears are demons at that
Poxwalkers
point.
are just zombies.
Yeah, so Poxwalkers are like in between cultists and Plague Bears.
So then the demon line is pretty. Well, that wouldn't be considered demon line, or are they? Poxwalkers, are they demons?
I'm pretty sure you could use. No, they're not demons.
They're just traitors.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're just traitors. I think you could only use them in the Death Guard Codex and not through the actual Chaos Demon Codex.
I feel like with Chaos Space Marine demons, there's so much like cool tactics and cool little special rules that they can create that every edition it seems like something you guys lose something or something comes back. Because the pink horrors, like those demons, wasn't it like a progression? Like you would kill a pink horror and a blue horror would appear, and then it just keep, yeah.
So a pink horror turns into 2 blue horrors. You kill a blue horror, it turns into a brimstone horror. So it's like, yeah, they get weaker, but there's more of them. So if they're on an objective, it's like almost impossible to take it.
Was it fun to play that? Because I know you played it a couple times.
Yeah, I played it a few times, and it's fun, but you got to remember that like they're best when they're pink.
Yeah.
Once they turn blue, they're not that good, and then once they're brimstone horrors, like they're essentially Gretchen.
Okay, yeah.
So they go down drastically, and like your play style kind of goes down because of it. Because when they're pink horrors, they could shoot out like warp flame and stuff like that.
Yeah, because normally on the tabletop, when you have a unit that's really, really shitty, like Gretchen's, Brimstone Horrors, and the Scarab Swarms, you use them as screens.
Right.
But at the end of a game, if you're playing them and it's like the 5th turn, what are you screening, really, you know? So maybe they should do it backwards, where you should be Brimstone, Blue Horrors, and then Pink Horrors.
Like they evolve as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So it's like Pokemon.
Yeah. Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, but I think that'd be difficult to keep them alive because you know, oh, I got to take out the brimstone while they're weakest.
Yeah.
Don't let them get to the pink horror stage.
Well, but then your opponent then has to learn that, like, I don't want to hit those guys. So you as a player know, well, I can throw them on an objective marker and they can hold it down.
Yeah. Or they get into combat, and as they're fighting, they evolve, so they're harder to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different tactics you could do with that.
Is Games Workshop going to do anything with that? No, they're just going to fuck up other codexes. Even though the Orcs got a pretty good
Yeah, the
codex.
orcs did pretty good this time around.
Yeah. Speaking of orcs, Lord Robin asks, who would win Octarius? And do you think GW will ever resolve the plot line? No, Games Workshop will never resolve any plot line just because it's the nature of Warhammer 40K of just kind of letting things exist. Armageddon is like that. You could even look at like the Plague Wars. They're still kind of going on. Those kind of things.
Yeah, a lot of these storylines never fully resolve because they always want to go back to them and give the named characters that kind of thrived their second hurrah.
Yeah, and you as a tabletop player get that boost of like, oh yeah, my guy fought there, even though Armageddon came out in like 2007.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And they're being very careful to not kill off not a lot of named characters. The most recent one is probably Yarick, right?
Yeah, and they lost an entire model because of it. So
Yeah.
now, what my thoughts are, the Octarius lore has actually changed. It used to just be orcs versus Tyranids, but now the Imperium is involved, or I guess it always was involved. But the story was that there was an orc empire, and the Imperium decided to throw a Gene Stealer brood into the orc empire, so the High Fleet followed that brood, because it's like sending out that message, hey, come over here. So then the Tyranids and the orcs just started eating each other, and the Imperium thought like, haha, we're smart. These guys are going to kill each other. But it was the exact opposite. Like the orcs got stronger and the Tyranids got stronger because they're absorbing that biomass. So now you are left with this like super bad situation where sure, one enemy might win, but that enemy is now going to be a super enemy.
Right. Kind of like the Simpsons episode where it's like, oh, I got rats in a barn, so let me get a cat. Cat takes over the rats. Now the cat's aggressive, so let me send in this thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, somehow we ended up with like bio AI gorillas.
Yeah. And then he was like, the winter will take them.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly like that. But yeah. Last question. You got one?
Trontun. With Inari and Harlequins being crammed into the Eldari sub-factions, do you think there is a bigger or a smaller chance of us finally getting Exodites?
No.
I don't know. I'd say it could happen either way. Because lately we've been seeing more and more units come out, like the Strike and Scorpions did, for Kill Team.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So I think that would be a good way to introduce the Exodites without giving us a full like army blowout.
And we know that they can do some badass looking things in 40K with like mounts because of the Crutox. That's what they're called, right?
The Crutox, the Narlocks, basically all the Crut mounts, beasts.
Yeah.
Like they got a whole revamp, so they could really do mounts really well. And GW knows mounts because they do a really good job in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, so cross your fingers and hopefully we do get some type of Kill Team like that. Kill Team has been a lot of fun. We've been playing it. Tempted to do battle reports, but I know you guys won't watch them. So
yeah, if you do want to check out Kill Teams from like 10 years ago, check it out. There is one.
Yeah, that one was fun. It was a narrative one.
Chaos versus Imperial Fist, was it?
Yep, yeah. But those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. As always, it's been the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwan.
And we are out of here.
Always used to put my freedom first.